Hi, friends. Susan Blackwell from the Spark File here to let you know that the doors are open for the Spark File Illume, a 9-month group creativity coaching mastermind that invites you to be the Chief Creative Officer and Chief Marketing Officer of your creativity. But what does that mean? That means in 9 months in Illume, you will clarify and advance your big creative goals and learn how to effectively share your work with the world. Now, if you're listening to this and you're an experienced creative or an accomplished professional who seeks a space where it is safe to attempt something you've never tried before, or complete a big creative project, or take your work to the next level and acquire the skills needed to share your creative work with the world, Illume might be right for you. We are calling in emotionally intelligent, high-functioning creatives who are ready to level up. You can find out more by going to thesparkfile.com/Illume, but do it now to find out if Illume is right for you and to save with early bird discounts. That's thesparkfile.com/Illume. Take a leap, take a risk. Go to thesparkfile.com/Illume and join us for Illume.
The Sparkfile podcast may contain profanity and other adult content.
Please use your discretion.
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my spark file. Could be something that I want to make or how I want to be. I pump it in my spark file. I jump into my spark file. Let's open up the spark file.
Welcome to the Spark File, where we believe that everyone is creative, but smart creative people don't go it alone.
I'm Laura Camion.
And I'm Susan Blackwell, and we are creativity coaches who help people fear less, create more, and bring their creative visions to life.
If you are an OG member of the Sparkfile community, welcome back, Sparkler.
If you are hearing the sounds of my dogs tangling in the background, know that they're just little dogs. They can't do much harm.
They won't hurt you.
And if you're joining us for the first time, welcome, friend.
Know that just by listening to this podcast, you're joined by a warm and wonderful clan of creatives.
But hold the phone. You may be asking yourself, what exactly is a Spark File?
A Spark File is a place where you consistently collect all of your inspirations and all of your fascinations.
And if you're like us and you're making stuff all the time, or you want to be making stuff all the time, you know that if you're not careful, your campfire of creativity can flicker out.
But please don't despair. We are collecting kindling in the form of fresh ideas, images, and inspiration that spark creativity and pique curiosity to light a fire under our collective asses to make things like this podcast.
Or a healthy, conscious relationship between creatives and their money.
Ooh, ooh, money. Every episode, we're going to reach into our Spark Files and exchange some sparks. And from time to time, we're also going to talk to some folks who spark us too.
That means we have more sparks than we can possibly use in this lifetime.
Boy, do we ever. So if something lights you up, we encourage you to take that thing and make something out of it.
Without further ado, let's open up
The Spark
File.
File. The Spark File. Welcome to the Spark File. Hi, Suze.
Featuring appearances by Kitty Bunny and POTUS, who are fighting over space on the radiator.
What is so cute is like they've never shown up in our intro before. I mean, they're always around, but they really made themselves known today.
I feel like POTUS has really made his mark on this podcast by snoring gently in the background of a recording or two.
Always from inside your sweatshirt.
Always from deep inside my sweatshirt, near my desk where I am podcasting right now. There's a radiator, and I put a soft blanket over the top of it and a tiny set of stairs leading up to it.
Come on.
So that they can crawl up there and lay there and just get toasted. Like just little toasted dogs. Because they're these little dogs. They're not supposed to be in this cold climate. And I feel like it's the least I can do for them. But when I open the door to my office, when they hear me open that door, they run to see who can get to the radiator first so that they can stretch out and block the other one from getting on the radiator. So what you just heard maybe in the background was just a little negotiating.
A negotiation.
A tiny dog negotiation.
Those little sweeties, they are the cutest.
How you doing, Laura Camion?
I'm good. I'm excited to hear your spark tonight. You have piqued my curiosity.
I'm gonna spark you.
You're gonna spark me.
Is there anything that you want to share with us, me, and the people who are listening before we launch?
Just, I think last week, did we talk about chatter, the chatter in our heads, I think, our inner chatter.
Yeah.
And the good purpose that it serves, if it develops in a healthy direction.
Yeah.
And we may have posted this, honestly. I'm not sure if we posted it on our social channels or not, but did you see that little viral video of this 4-year-old snowboarder? Did you see this?
Is he dressed like a little tiny dinosaur?
No, but dinosaurs are mentioned, ironically, in it. I don't think.
Are you sure they're not dressed like a tiny snowboarding dinosaur?
It might be. I didn't notice that.
Tell me more, Laura Camion.
Well, their parents mic'd their snowboarding suit. And I guess they do this on other videos as well, just because they want to capture these memories and have a fuller perspective, not just the adults' voices in the video, but their kids' voices. So this child is starting to go down the mountain, and they're talking to themselves essentially. And they're just saying things like, "Oh, I hope I don't fall. Oh, but it's okay. If I do fall, it's okay. We all fall." And just kind of talking themselves through the whole thing. And it was just a perfect example of what we talked about last week in chatter. It's a very important developmental stage in how we learn to do things, and also essentially lay the foundation for our attitude about failure, our attitude about risk.
Yeah.
And my heart was so warmed by that. Anytime I see a kid doing that, I'm just keep that, please keep that.
Yeah.
Keep that your whole life. This idea of I might try this and I might fall flat on my face and I'm going to be okay. We all fall, and that's cool.
It reminds me of what you and I have talked about before, this concept of reparenting your creativity.
Yes.
And how you talk to yourself and,
yes,
all of that goodness. And the second point I want to make is I'm almost certain that kid is wearing a dinosaur onesie.
I believe you. I totally believe you. I just didn't notice that as much as I noticed the chatter. I was fixated on what a sweet little voice, first of all. Sweet voice. I want to go up this big old hill. They pronounce every syllable of it. I can't even do it. It's just so freaking cute. I won't spoil it for you. If you haven't seen it, just look for it online. Just 4-year-old snowboarder. You'll find it.
This also reminds me of a conversation that we were just having with our creativity group. And we were talking about different sort of permutations of getting to a place where you can write or be self-expressed in a very free way.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that stops us from being freely self-expressed in our creativity is that negative chatter, that negative inner chatter that we can have. And one of the group members said something that I loved so much, which is, and a tiny, tiny tip of my invisible hat to group member Cecily. Cecily makes this bomb-ass banana pudding.
That is a quote from Cecily.
That is a quote.
Bomb-ass banana pudding.
It is so good that Cecily makes it and takes it to parties, and people really, really, really look forward to it.
And she stays up. She pushes herself to stay up all night because she knows this will blow their minds if I can just make this banana pudding.
And she said, that is now how I write. I write as if people are going to receive this writing as they receive my bomb-ass banana pudding. And I was like, that is good. That's good, healthy inner chatter.
It sure is. It sure is.
If you made things like you believed that they were going to be really, really embraced, well received, people are going to be excited when you walk to that party with that tray. Yes.
They're going to devour this.
Yes.
They're going to talk about it for days. It's, delicious.
I love that so much. And you and I have been talking recently about things that we are making.
That's right.
And for whatever reason, it put me in this really, really fearful place. And I loved Cecily's reframe on that.
Me
What
too.
if?
What if the whole world receives it?
So that is now code for us for our group, bomb ass banana pudding. What
Bomb-ass
if?
banana pudding.
I have to tell you, it made me so happy.
It's
as
pretty
happy
awesome.
as a snowboarder in a dinosaur onesie with some positive inner chatter. Laura Camion, would you like can I interest you in a spark?
I will take a spark. Thanks, Suze.
I've got one for you. Here we go.
Serve it up.
So, Laura, years ago, I think I've told you this, but maybe I haven't and I don't remember. And listeners, maybe I've told you this and I don't remember, but here we go. Years ago, I took part in a course offered by the Actors Fund.
Mm-hmm.
First off, Laura, I know you know the Actors Fund, but if you don't know the Actors Fund, you really should. It was founded in 1882, and it's a national human services organization here in the United States that supports anyone in the entertainment industry. So even though the word actors is in the title, it's really for anyone in the entertainment industry. And they do amazing work. They provide a wide variety of services, including but not limited to emergency financial assistance for artists,
Amazing.
affordable housing, healthcare, insurance counseling, senior care. There's like an Actors Fund retirement home, Laura, but also secondary career development, so many different kinds of classes. Laura and I actually built this business, the Spark File, with the support of the Actors Fund in the form of a class for entrepreneurs that we took there. And many years before that, I took a course sponsored by the Actors Fund that literally changed the course of my life. So this class, it was like a small group seminar. I can't believe this was free. The Actors Fund is bananas. This was free. It was a small group class. It was led by a psychotherapist named Annette Lieberman. Annette, along with a woman named Vicki Lindner, had co-written a book called The Money Mirror: How Money Reflects Women's Desires, Fears, and Desires. And Annette led us through this series of exercises and discussions that were aimed at exploring and transforming this group of artists' relationship with money. So Annette was asking questions that I had never considered. Questions about like, what were our earliest recollections of money? How did our parents deal with money? How did their parents deal with money? It was so eye-opening. And it was in that class, Laura. This is amazing to me because I was not super young, but it was in that class that I learned how to articulate a well-formed goal.
Oh, how interesting.
I had never understood the steps of a well-formed goal and how to parse it and declare it and achieve it before that class.
And how long was this class, by the way?
Oh, good. I'm going to say it was like 2 months, and we met weekly once a week.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. And it was a small group, and you had to apply for it. And you had to do an in-person interview with her to be accepted into the group. And I'm sure that they were just trying to find like a foundationally balanced, sort of sane group of people.
Yeah.
Who were serious about like doing the work.
We're going to show up and
who were, yep.
Suze, will you forgive me if I go back just a moment to the Actors Fund thing? Because if I've been sounding silent over here, it's because I was trying to jog my memory. I was like, the Actors Fund, we've talked about that on the Spark File. What was that connection? And it's coming to me now. Edwin Forrest, one of the actors that was being fought over in the Astor Place riots.
Oh my God.
In his later years, he, was a philanthropist and created this home. I think it was in New Jersey, like Inglewood, New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
And then at some point it folded into the Actors Fund retirement home.
Amazing.
For performers and actors. So I was just like, ding, 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 there's a bell going off. And that's the sound, though, of how long it actually took for me to piece it together. My memory, as you were talking, I was like, wait a minute.
Well, that's a deep cut. Come on. I'm proud of you I would have never made that connection. That's a super deep cut. And I just want to clarify that it's not just for actors or performers. It's for anybody in the entertainment industry.
That's right.
And for years I've said at least I know in my dotage, I can go and live at the retirement home of the Actors Fund.
That's right. Edwin Forrest was for performers. And then when he merged with the Actors Fund, and that expands it so much bigger and broader. And anyway, so I'm 100% with you now. It took me just a minute to catch that memory and share it. But I'm just yay to the Actors Fund, yay to the class we took together. And this one sounds amazing. And I wish I had had the opportunity.
I feel like I just got super lucky. I was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Something that we have asked a lot of really world-class artists on Makersode episodes of this podcast is there a line of demarcation in your life that you're sort of like, there's a before and an after? And this is actually one of those for me, is this class.
Can I ask you, is this when you started tracking your money like in a tiny notebook?
You know it is.
So can I just say then, for years, I would judge myself against the standard of Susan Blackwell in this class, because I would just be like, oh, God, Susan tracks every dime she spends. Like, she is so on top of it. Because I spent time with you during this time, and anything that we did, it would be like, hold on, I'm jotting down like to the penny exactly what I spent money on. And I just compared and despaired for years because I'm like, I don't have my shit together.
Well, the reason why I was doing that is because I really, really didn't have my shit together. And it was just an exercise. It was not virtuous. It was just an exercise. The reasoning behind it was to just slow my roll. And anytime that money came in or went out, that I just took that second, literally that second, to be like $1.25. That I just for a moment came into the present and was like $2.75.
It was commendable and still is.
It was part of what I'm about to tell you. It was really just life-changing. So Laura, that behavior that you observed, which I actually had forgotten about. So thanks for the memories.
My God, it's such a clear memory to me, being with you, just bopping around New York City and stopping to write down everything.
It's because prior to that, money would just flow out of my hands, and I would get home and I would be like, how the hell did I spend $75 today?
Yeah.
I just went for a walk. Like, what the hell happened? There were some things at play that I'm going to talk about in a second, but this all, like me tracking my money at that time, played into my goal that I set, my first well-formed goal in this course. So at that time, I was this young actor. I was scraping by in New York City. I was temping and then like working in offices and appearing in like off-Broadway shows. And there were times when I had to make some tough choices about whether I would walk 30 blocks from the theater to my home or spend $1.25 on subway fare.
Oh my God.
Remember those days, Laura Camion?
Oh, I do. Mine would be like, yes, either I'm going to have a slice of pizza for dinner or I'm going to buy a ride on the subway.
Yeah.
So I could have pizza but walk home, or I could ride home on the subway and then not have dinner. Oh, we're old.
We would stuff newspapers in our shoes for warmth.
Oh my God.
Yes. But that is what, that was sort of, and then I started making a little bit more money, but from time to time I would have to make the embarrassing, stressful phone call to my parents to ask them for financial help, which I want to stress was a privilege, to be sure. Many people do not have that luxury.
I did not.
It was so painful. Like, it was so mortifying, and they weren't happy about it. And none of us are rolling in it. So I just wanted to reverse that. So with Annette's help, I set a goal, and that goal was to save $1,000 over the course of several months. And part of achieving that goal, one of my action steps was simply observing every penny that I spent, not judging it, but just writing it first in my little notebook. And I think eventually I started maybe putting it in, I didn't have a cell phone for a long time, but when I did, I started tracking it like in a notes app in my cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I want to tell you, Laura Camion, full disclosure listeners, up to that point, I had never saved any money in my entire life. I just worked hard and I scraped by, and I didn't really keep a close eye on my money because I didn't have much. Now that logic is very flawed, but that's how it was. Like I didn't have a lot. So I was just like, this is too painful to look at too closely. So I just didn't.
Exactly.
I would work really, really hard, and I would reward my hard work by doing things like ordering meals instead of cooking at home or buying myself a little something. Does that sound familiar? I heard that gasp, the gasp.
Yes.
But I will tell you, then I took that class. I learned how to set a goal. I made my goal to save that $1,000 and I determined those action steps to get me there. And I'll be honest with you, I'm so thankful you jogged my memory because most of it was just about having money awareness. And that money awareness was just by writing $1.25.
Just writing it down.
Yes, down in my little baby notebook. So once I saved up that $1,000, I wrote my mom and dad a check for $1,000 and I mailed it to them. And they did not want to cash that check. They were like, we're not cashing this. And I was like, please cash it. It is my way of reversing the energetic flow of money.
Wow.
And it was also my way of drawing a boundary for myself. I decided I would never have to ask for them to bail me out again. And I never have. I have never asked for emergency financial help again. It totally changed my life. Now, again, this is super privileged. I have been well. I haven't had any major illness. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
There's a lot of factors that go into me not having to ask for financial help.
100%. 100%.
I am super proud of the fact that I set that goal. I achieved the goal. I reversed the flow.
Yeah.
And again, I'm very privileged and I've been really lucky that I've been able to do that.
You have been privileged. And also, I commend you for having the self-awareness to know the difference between a self-imposed need to ask for money from others versus an emergency and circumstances out of your control, because there's no shame in that, obviously, when people are in that.
That's right.
But you knew the difference. You were like, I think I'm making enough money to care for myself, but I'm not using it to the best of my ability.
To be honest, I probably wasn't. I was probably under earning and overspending, but I was doing all of this. Like you're totally right, Laura Camion. You're 100% correct.
Well, I'm impressed that you were able to investigate that, question it, and say, I want to change this dynamic.
Investigation is the perfect word for that seminar that Annette Lieberman led. It really was. And we'll get into that a little bit more in just a moment. But I will tell you, Laura and listeners, doing that, setting that goal, achieving it, and what felt like reversing that energetic financial flow, that relationship with my parents gave me a real foundation of confidence. And one of the pieces of it was I learned that I could learn about money. Not just how to set savings goals, but how to make money, how to handle it, how to respect it, how to invest it. I just want to say, disclaimer, even despite what Laura just said, and despite this very, very rosy anecdote that I'm sharing with you, I am not perfect with money. There are still so many things that I want to learn and refine. And depending how busy I am or how much I'm earning or not earning, this stuff can really come in and out of focus for me. But with each passing year, I refine my relationship with money and I like to tackle new things. Both my financial hygiene, like the nuts and bolts of how I track money and where I put it, but also mindset things like how I talk about money, how I feel about money, how I think about money, and my value and my worth as a creative and as an artist. I think it's really important to examine our relationship with money for us creatives. And I think as artists, there are so many stories that we are fed about our relationship to money that sometimes we consume without thinking twice about it. So I want to talk about a concept.
Okay.
Bohemianism.
Oh, interesting.
Bohemianism. So According to dictionary.com, the concept of bohemianism originated in 19th century France. Bohemians were starving artists and thinkers leading free, unconventional lives, often wandering from place to place. They were profiled in French author Henri Mouget's 1851 novel, whose title translates to Scenes of the Bohemian Life, which became the basis for Puccini's 1896 opera, La Bohème, which in turn provided the spark for Jonathan Larson's Rent and the breakout song La Vie Bohème. So clearly, this idea of the starving but liberated artist has been a major spark of inspiration for creatives. There's a romance
for
to
centuries.
It. Oh my
literally
God.
Centuries. Yeah.
Literally. I get it. Like, I get the romance of it. When you think about the characters in Rent bopping around the East Village in 1994, I was living my own version of that in the West Village. Laura, I think you were living your own version of that as well.
I was indeed. Where was I? I guess I was East Village as well. Just a couple years after that. Prior to that, I might have been in Spanish Harlem.
Under-earning, struggling financially. Laura, I was eating at Dojo. I was eating at Life Cafe. I was eating at the Fez when my bank account wished I was cooking at home.
Doing all of that.
What were you spending money on then? Do you remember?
A little thing called taxi cabs.
You love a taxi.
I love a taxi, friends.
Oh my
I love a
God.
taxi. But also, yeah, it had to be food, clothing, and transportation.
I also feel like I was like candles, clothing.
Clothing, I remember this was the era of like, hey, I'm out and about. I saw this deal at Banana Republic. I'm going to get one for you too. Like you bought me shoes. I bought you sweaters. Like,
yes,
that's just, what you did.
I would admire your skirt. You would buy me the skirt.
Mm-hmm,
and we, again, I just want to stress.
We had no business.
We had no business.
We had no
business. Credit
None.
cards, bullshit. Oh my God. Anyway. It was shortly after all of that bullshittery that I took this seminar at the Actors Fund and realized that I could be fully creative and not play into the stereotypes of the broke artist, the couch surfing artist, the scrounging artist.
Yes.
It's not that I wanted to be full on money obsessed, capitalistic either. But luckily, it isn't an either or choice. You don't have to be full on Mimi or an all out Benny. Those are Rent references, Laura Camion, coming at you piping hot from the mid-90s.
Fresh.
Those are some fresh mid-90s Rent references. We all contain multitudes, and we can be vibrant creatives and be financially clear-headed and healthy as well.
I mean, God, it took me too long to figure that out. Really, truly too long.
Well,
but it is a wonderful feeling once you realize that. And it does not mean it's about the number in your bank account. It means it's about your relationship to money.
For me, it's a lot about just peace and confidence.
Yeah.
Peace and confidence. And Laura, I know I've talked with you about this. If I've said it on the podcast, please enjoy it again. But for years and Hunter Bell had this ongoing conversation, which is this. The question on the table was, which is more stressful? Compromising yourself by working a job that might not feel like a perfect fit, but provides a stronger financial foundation, which was my path, or having more freedom and time to create, but living with financial uncertainty, which was more of Hunter's younger path.
Yeah.
And again, it's not either or, but those were our experiences that we were living and comparing and contrasting. I knew that for me, I just didn't want to be that bohemian couch surfer who was really unsure about my financial future, my insurance, my retirement. I always would rather personally compromise now and play a long game with an eye towards more financial freedom in the future. But that is not everybody's comfort.
That's not everyone's comfort. But I have to say, like, for me, it wasn't even, I'm playing a long game. I could not feel a sense of freedom if I did not have some security.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I've told you this story before, but I like hung with a circle of friends and we all talked about how broke we are. I'm so broke. I'm so broke. I'm like, God. I have $20 in my account. I have $16 in my account. Whatever. And I had a friend, hi, Tim. And we would just trade back almost every other week when it was payday. It was like, could I borrow that 20? it's tight. And then like 2 weeks later, the other person would be like, could I have that 20 because so it was that same $20 that was getting us by. But then I remember discovering accidentally that this group of friends, no one was broke except me in the sense of how I defined broke. And I mean broke by like, I have $16 in my account. And if I run out of money, like my parent, I don't have anyone to call. They're going to be like, you have a roof over your head here in Kansas if you want it. And I appreciated that. Like I didn't feel like I'm going to be homeless. It was just like, if you want to stay in New York, you're paying for yourself.
You have to make your way.
But I these friends, like just accidentally, we were talking about our brokenness one day. And one of them said, well, I mean, but I do have that trust fund, but I'm not supposed to use it. And I was like, what? And then another one was like, I mean, I have this credit card. It's my dad's credit card. I'm not supposed to.
Y'all are disqualified from this game.
I honestly felt like, oh my God, I'm just an idiot. I had no idea. Like I thought when we all said we were broke, we all really were. So that was a wake up call. But for me, I was like, I can't. It's either I have a job that I can feel secure about paying for my rent, or I go home to Kansas. Those are the options.
So you essentially were providing your own New York safety net, whereas some of your friends weren't necessarily counting that. But it's so interesting. And every single individual has a different comfort level.
That's right.
So this isn't in my Spark, but it's sort of common wisdom that you want to have a buffer in the bank, like a little safety buffer in the bank. And for some people, that's like a month's costs saved. Or
I think the pandemic changed everyone's perspective on what that number is.
Yeah. And for some people, it's 3 months. And for some people, it's 6 months or 3 years. But everybody has different sort of risk tolerances when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I did not have the risk tolerance of like, I'll wing it and trust and keep, because that sense of freedom, that creative freedom that you spoke of, like if you're looking at the choices of like security versus creative freedom, I felt no creative freedom without feeling some security.
It takes up a lot of bandwidth, financial instability and fear.
So stressful to me.
There came a time in my life when the stress became intolerable. And I was like, I have got to get my arms around this. And that's probably when I signed up for this class.
Yeah. And smart choice.
Yeah.
Good decision, Suze.
Thanks, Laura. So in case it's helpful to anyone, and I'm talking to myself here as well, I just wanted to share some thoughts on money mindset that have helped me to define my own financial narrative over the years. I want to acknowledge that this is a very deep and complex topic. It's a real sparktopus. So of course, I'm not going to cover it all today, but my hope is that it will provide some sparks of inspiration for people to take their financial well-being to the next level, whatever that next level may be. So a great place to begin thinking about this is summed up in a question that our coach, Jennifer Rosenfeld,
Hi, Jennifer,
once posed to us. Hi, Jennifer. Jennifer said, if money were a person, and that person was in a relationship with you, how would they describe the way you treated them?
Oh,
Cams, what do you think? If money were a person in your life, how would they describe the way you engage with them?
She pays no attention to me until she needs me to do something for her.
Rough.
Basically.
That is like, rough.
I'm going to say that's probably the gist of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Until recently, I've paid more attention. I've shown my appreciation and
nice. I think that's so honest. I think my money would say that I am well-intentioned towards it, but not always as attentive as money would like me to be. I am sometimes I'm one of those people who lavishes my finances with all sorts of attention. And then other responsibilities and creative projects and work and distractions rise up. And then I don't pay attention to my money for long periods of time. I think money would say that I ghost. I think money would say that I ghost.
You ghost.
Yep. Money's doing its thing. It's living its life. It's patiently waiting for my call. And when my attention finally swings back around to it, I'm just so apologetic for not being present. And I promise money and I promise myself I'm going to pay closer attention. And then I get distracted again. Now that, like you were saying, Laura, that is changing now, but I think that is how it's been for kind of a long time.
Yeah.
But it is also changing. Like I pay attention to money much more closely these days. And I think honestly, it's because you and I pay attention to our money together.
I was going to say, friends, if you want to like suddenly get a different lease on life in terms of your money, start a business.
Get a healthy collaborator.
Yeah. Start a business with a healthy collaborator and you will pay attention.
Yeah. It's nice though, because we can offer each other, like when you're feeling down or feeling like you're treating money like a dick, I can be like, it's okay. Today's a new day and we can start. Or if I'm like, we can sort of be there.
Money will forgive you. Just go back and talk to it.
And support each other. And I do think it is one of those things that the more attentive we are. Now, I'm not talking about being like Scrooge McDuck, just counting your doubloons. That's not what I'm talking about. It's the version of me that whenever I spent money would take a moment and record it in a little notebook to gently turn my attention towards it. It's just that. It's just being present with it. It's a very real resource in our life. And if you can set up some like healthy mindset around it and some good systems around it, it has been my experience that more money does seem to appear. Enough that I could, for the first time in my life, save $1,000 and write that check to my parents.
Right. Because I don't think it just appeared out of nowhere. I think you truly were like, wait, it's not going to just pass through my hands like sand.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, was about being present with it. I believe that a lot of our mindset and fear around money comes from things that we learned, old stories we've learned. And that could be from our family's relationship to money. It could be old money wounds, old money narratives that we may have ingested that we haven't questioned before. Things like creatives are bad with money, artists are bad at math, things like that.
I think you're probably going to get into this in your spark, but just that idea that we are continually fed, that is a choice between like being good with money or being creative, or being good with numbers and being creative.
Yeah.
It's such baloney. But the number of people who are like, oh no, that's not, someone else will do that. And it has taken us so much time to realize actually no one else is going to do it for you. And also, even if they offered, you don't want someone to do all that for you. You want to be paying attention.
That's right. That's right. We are going to get into that a little bit.
Okay. I won't jump it.
So a way to get right with money, to begin that journey or continue it if you've already begun it, is to go back and explore some of the questions that Annette Lieberman asked us in that seminar that I took 20 million years ago. Things like, what are some of your earliest memories about money? How did your family relate to money? Cams, do you remember an early memory about money or how your family related to money that you think you might have absorbed?
100%. There was never enough. There's never enough money to go around.
So the story in your house is there was never enough.
Never enough. No, we're never going to bridge that gap between how much money we need and how much money is coming in. There was tension between my mom and dad in regard to who made the money. A lot of juicy stuff there.
It's funny because when you said that, I was like, do the ripples of that story still resonate for you now?
Well, I think in a way it probably, I've never dated anyone who's ever had any problem with me making more money than they do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably based on the tension that I grew up with. That was like, I'm going to make money. And if that's a problem, this isn't going to work out.
Because my baby Laura Camion is a rainmaker.
Because I'm a rainmaker. I mean, and then that's the thing. Like I haven't learned to spend wisely. I'm learning that now, but I always found a way to support myself. And that was a source of pride for me too, knowing that I could do it at a certain point, knowing that I wasn't going to need to make that phone call home. Because for me, that phone call was like, can you buy me a plane ticket? I knew that was what my option was. No one was going to send money.
So if financial support came, it was going to come in the form of you're coming back to Kansas.
There's a roof over your head here.
Yeah.
You can get a job here. There'll be rules and, guidelines on how you're allowed to live in this house until you get back on your feet. But yes, that's an option to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but not cash. Nope.
I think it's just fascinating. In an article by Seth J. Gillihan, PhD, on psychologytoday.com, Ken Honda describes what he calls money wounds that we carry from earlier in life. There's a quote: "Most of us are hurt around money when we were children. Maybe we were denied taking ballet lessons or playing a band instrument because our parents couldn't afford it. It was something they couldn't help, but we still felt hurt that we were denied certain things. Nearly all of us experience these kinds of disappointments since parents have very real financial limitations, and without realizing it, those early experiences can haunt you 20 years later." And I do think it's one of those things, we're not therapists. We don't claim to be therapists, but I do think it's one of those things that it's really worth looking at. In our house, we didn't really talk about money, not because we had it.
Did you have an awareness of like, if you wanted something, did you have an awareness that you could have it or not have it?
No. Very
Yeah.
frugal. No. We
Yeah.
could, if we were in a thrift store, maybe that was a place where we could have it, like that our mom would
Yeah.
agree to it. But no, I think money was really, really tight. But no, it wasn't a situation where my parents taught me how to balance a checkbook
No.
or anything like that. Like, it was just a non-topic. They might have talked about it between the two of them. I was not a financially literate person.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
No.
In that same article, Ken Honda goes on to describe money fears. Money is tied to basic survival for most of us. As author Ken Honda pointed out, unless you subsist off the land, you're dependent on money to provide the fundamentals like food and shelter. Thus, we often attach fear to money. Ken Honda asks his clients to write down their worst case scenario, and it's usually some version of life without any money.
Wow.
Beyond the fear of going broke, though, lies a deeper concern. What you imagine can reveal what you're afraid of. So, does running out of money mean going hungry? Does it mean feeling embarrassed? Does it mean being a disappointment? Does it mean being a failure? Does it mean looking irresponsible? As you examine the root of your money-related fears, you can discover those underlying insecurities, and then you can start working with them. Laura, are you having a moment?
I'm just thinking about like, it's just all truth. We internalize all that stuff. Yeah.
We do. And then the thing is, we are operating from those things. And if they're unexamined, it means, I can see myself so clearly, both as a younger person and kind of now, where some of those things are driving me or making me look away because I'm just like averse to it, when what is more, I think, useful and productive and healthy is kind of getting to the bottom of those fears, those wounds, those narratives, so that you can actually make choices, like you can make conscious choices. I remember hearing Kathy Griffin. Did you watch her reality show, My Life on the D-List? Were you ever into that?
I did not.
I was into that show, and I remember her so clearly. This has rung like a bell in my head for years. She talked about her dirty little secret was that she was great with money.
Wow.
And cut to her like A-list house, like nestled on the side of a mountain. And I thought, that is so great.
Yeah.
And then recently, I was listening to the podcast, How to Be Amazing, hosted by the comedian and author and creative Michael Ian Black. And Kathy Griffin talked about how she has $32 million
What?
and a 13,000 square foot house that she paid cash for, no mortgage.
Oh my God.
Amazing, right? But here's where it breaks down for me. She said, she still feels like she needs more.
That's the thing.
That's the thing.
Like a few weeks back when we were talking about sort of the history of like money and shame.
Money. Yeah.
Money.
Yeah.
And you were like, Laura, I think you have saved more, but have more stress about what that number is. And you have more peace about it.
We talk pretty openly with each other about like dollars and cents and where we're at and how's your retirement fund coming. And it's great to have somebody to have those conversations with too. I think be judicious about it. Like there's a reason
You
why.
have to.
Yeah. But to have somebody that you can talk openly with about money and learn about money, it's super, super helpful.
You really have to. We did a class recently on like imposter syndrome. And I'll
Yeah.
be quick about this, but the importance of internalizing one's successes.
Yes.
There's a whole philosophy behind how vital that is because our brain does replay negative things over and over again and is more inclined to believe those things. We actually have to force ourselves to speak out loud and talk about our successes. And I think that our money, I think we all also have to have someone in our life that it is safe, because it's not safe to talk to everyone about money.
Correct.
But you have to find someone who it is safe to talk to. You're allowed to celebrate it. You're allowed to, even the other way around, you're allowed to talk to them about what your money disorder is and how you're working on that and be able to be open about that without shame.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to be able to celebrate when you've made progress, when you're doing well, when you save a certain amount. And I think it's really painful that we don't have that, frankly, that people don't have the ability to talk openly about it.
I think we can cultivate more of that. And we'll get to that on the what do we make of it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. To all of that, I want to share some types of money phobia that Annette Lieberman shared with our class that really helped me. All of this is in her book, The Money Mirror, which is out of print. And I will say the book, reading it now, it reads a little dated. I just feel like social mores have updated a lot, but there's so much in it that is still, I think, relevant and useful. Cams, I'm going to read these types to you. Try these on and see if any of these resonate with you. Listeners, I invite you to do the same. Okay. Money blindness. The money blind creative closes their eyes to money and thinks of it as vague or unreal. Because they have confused money with other emotional conflicts, they often find it anxiety producing to look at all aspects of their financial situation and may not read financial statements, balance their checkbooks, or know exactly how much they earn and spend. If you're a woman, you might leave money management to others, including men. That's money blindness. Okay. Are you feeling that? Mm-hmm. The next up is money squeamishness. Money squeamish creatives believe wanting money is greedy or corrupt and think that talking about money is tacky.
Oof.
Next up.
Or asking for money or invoicing people for money.
Yeah. Money squeamishness.
Yikes.
Next up, money denying. Money deniers want someone or something to take care of them and entertain fantasies that they will be rescued financially. Affected by the mythology of fairy tales, they may associate financial rescue with the vague closure of living happily ever after and with the ultimate satisfaction of their emotional needs. They usually spend what they earn, do not take income producing as seriously as they could, and think making money should be glamorous and exciting. That's money denying. Money eluding. Money eluders want to make more money but are paralyzed by anxieties they have not defined. They do not attach a price tag to their financial fantasies. They also fear finding themselves in a work situation that represents a foreign territory where they may be exposed to the envy of others and their own lack of perfection will be revealed. Though our sexist society is often at the root of money eluders' issues, they take their inability to earn personally and may have difficulty balancing their need to make money with other priorities. Next up, money folly. Money folly people blow their money or throw it away as they attempt to solve emotional conflicts by excessive spending. They tend to regard budgeting and saving as punishments instead of useful techniques for taking charge of their financial lives and sacrifice future security in exchange for immediate gratification. Ding, 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 says me. Money paranoia. Money paranoid people use their money to build fortresses that they believe will protect them from an uncertain future and from people who plan to rip them off or suck them dry.
Wow.
They solve emotional dilemmas by maintaining financial control at any cost. They may hoard their money or use it in the wrong way to sabotage themselves and their important relationships. That's a money paranoia.
Wow.
And lastly, money confusion. Money confusion strikes when money-phobic people negotiate for pay or for financial advantages in their personal life. The money confused are afraid to separate money from their emotions. They try to take care of the needs of the people they are negotiating with or expect those people to take care of them. They may also personalize money and financial institutions. Cams, do you see yourself in any or all of these?
Oh, yeah. Not all of them. Definitely not all of them. But there are a few that were definitely like, whew.
Yeah.
The one about folly
Oh
and
my
the
God,
one
yes.
like denier, maybe. What was the first one?
Money blindness.
Money blindness. Yeah.
Money blindness. I feel like I am also a heady brew of money folly and money blindness. And I also think it changes over time and in different circumstances.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Which is why all the more reason why awareness is so essential.
There are so many stories about real life creatives being bad with money. That feeds into all of this narrative. Young actors or musicians who experience success at a young age and end up in trouble for not paying taxes. People who make and lose fortunes because they had
or whose managers extort money.
Yeah, that's right, Laura. People who they don't have their eyes on their money.
Mm-hmm.
Like Oprah says, always sign your checks. No matter how big your organization is, you sign those checks. People who have a big entourage because they think, oh, this is how a person in my position is supposed to roll. And so they make a lot of money and they lose fortunes. All of this makes sense to me. If I were younger, if younger me received a lot of money at a young, I would not know how to track it. I would not know how to invest it.
Not one thing.
I would be incarcerated for tax evasion because I didn't understand the processes. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In their book, The Money Mirror, the authors provide the example of the queen of non-money phobia, Mae West. Do you kids know who Mae West was?
Tell us, sis.
Well, Mae West is one of the all-time most outrageous stage and screen personalities. She was known for her one-liners. She was known for she was super sex positive when that term had not even been coined yet.
Right. People had no concept of that.
Mae West, does this sound familiar to anybody? She was like, come up and see me sometime. Mae West, in addition to being just like this very outrageous sex positive star of stage and screen, was a financial whiz.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yes, get a load of this.
Good
From her early days as a child star on the vaudeville circuit, Mae West earned, negotiated, and managed her money wisely, eventually becoming the wealthiest self-made woman of her generation. She also, in addition to being just like a kick-ass business person and kick-ass financial literate, she led this full, extravagant, emotional life. And by the end of it, fun fact, Mae West claimed to have had an orgasm a day for about 87 years.
Woo!
Super, she was an amazing creative. She was amazingly sex positive. She actually would be a hell of a standalone spark. She's amazing.
Yeah.
In her autobiography, Goodness Had Nothing to Do with It, Mae West recounts that she had instinctive knowledge of the negotiation process. Mae West, as a young vaudeville performer, refused to pick up money that was thrown on the stage, which was a vaudeville custom. She knew that stooping for money was not an effective posture when she was then going to turn around and negotiate her own contracts and salary. So she would not stoop down to pick up money off of a stage.
Would she just not get any of that? Would someone else pick it up?
I think somebody else would pick it up.
Wow.
Yeah. I think Mae West got paid.
Yeah.
But I don't think she bent down to pick up that money, which I was like, wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Trust that instinct. Yes.
But as a young person and a young person of that time, we're talking about the early 1900s.
Yeah.
Is that amazing. The 20th century, Laura? The early 20th century.
Good job, sis.
Thank you.
Yay.
Mae West's awareness of the value of money led her to make the timely move from Broadway to Hollywood. In 1927, Mae West was starring in a Broadway show that she wrote called Sex. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So she's starring this. She was sentenced to 10 days in jail in New York City for using obscene language and doing a, quote, coochie dance, unquote, in her own play, sex on Broadway.
Oh my God.
You know what Mae West did when she was sitting in her jail cell for 10 days in 1927? Mae West used that time to read reports of Hollywood film earnings and to ponder economics. Mae West studied the numbers that the Hollywood studios were making. Mae West liked what she saw, and she began thinking about how she could apply her style and personality to the motion picture industry. And then, once in Hollywood, Mae proved adept at studio politics and negotiating, and she eventually earned $300,000 per picture, the highest salary paid to a star until then. Any star, male, female, otherwise any star. She was soon writing and producing her own films in which she starred. But she didn't just earn great sums of money. She also invested her money wisely. In addition to her fabulous clothes and furs and jewels, Mae West bought and managed real estate and parlayed $16,000. She invested it wisely and made $5 million out of it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
She really is a standalone spark.
She's pretty extraordinary.
In the book, The Money Mirror, Annette Lieberman stresses that what makes Mae the queen of money awareness is not just her exceptional earning power and intelligent use of money. It's the way she achieved balance in her very unique lifestyle. In her autobiography, Mae West said, "Hard as I worked, I would be lying to say I neglected my emotional side. I'm a girl who likes balance in everything." So there were times when she would turn down lucrative deals because she wanted to tend to her spiritual or emotional needs. And she said, money is a splendid commodity and everyone should have lots of it. But money to burn does not necessarily produce the flames I need right now. Right?
Am I right?
Am I right, ladies? So at other times she would take on new challenges, not because she needed the money, but because she loved her creative work.
Oh my gosh. She's extraordinary. I mean, I kind of always knew, but not in great detail.
Oh, she is unfucking believable in so many different ways. And she really relished this life that she had designed to suit her needs. And I mean her financial needs. I mean her sexual needs. I mean her creative needs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean her personal needs. And even in her old age, apparently she worked, she loved, she radiated this sense of power and self-control and youthful vitality. So just to balance, like, yes, money can be challenging. And yes, there's a lot of things to learn. And yes, money mastery is a real lifelong project. But I offer you Mae West.
Yes.
As a possibility of somebody who just like lived fucking large. She's a fucking baller in so many different ways. And she was fucking great with her money. So what do we make of it, Laura Camion?
Oh my God. Mae West career.
Mae West. Yeah. That's really something to aspire to. If all of this is new to you, I think it's worth doing some digging to understand where your money beliefs come from and if they're serving you. Another question to explore: do you value the creative work you make, whether that's products or services? And if you are not valuing and pricing yourself, keep digging, keep looking.
Honestly, I would add to that, like, challenge yourself to imagine that what you do is worthy of extraordinary amounts of money. It's as worthy as anyone on Wall Street and what they do, and anyone in Hollywood or sports athletes or whatnot. Like, what you do is worthy, and the art that you're putting out into the world is worthy. And I think that just starting like right from the jump, we tend to be at the other end of the spectrum of like, I'm just so happy I got anything for this work, because so many people in our industry are asked to work for free. They're asked to do benefits, etc. So,
exactly. While we're on this topic, regarding the value of our creativity, I want to make a similar point in two different ways. So first, I offer you the napkin story. You may have heard this before. Picasso is sitting in a Paris cafe when a woman approaches the artist and asks that he make a quick sketch on a paper napkin. So Picasso acquiesces and draws his little dove and promptly hands it back to this woman and asks for a large sum of money. And the woman is flummoxed and says, "How can you ask for so much? It took you a minute to draw this." And Picasso replies, "No, it took me 40 years. And a similar point made in a different way is there's this song on TikTok. It's not an episode of the Spark File podcast unless I say the words TikTok. There's a song that is viral on TikTok by Whoa Dude that goes, "It costs that much because it takes me fucking hours. You know that song, Laura Garian?
I sure do.
So that just all speaks to how are you valuing your creativity and
your time.
Yeah, your time. Explore how you're valuing yourself, whether you're a teacher, a painter, a coach, a singer. If you're doing work that you would do for free for your own satisfaction, or you're doing it to make the world a better place, that doesn't mean you shouldn't get paid for it.
Oh my God. Just because you would do it for free does not mean you have to do it for free.
That's right. And sometimes you may want to do it for free.
That's your choice. Yeah.
There are times when I am so pleased to do my creative work for free. Sometimes it is for charity. Sometimes it's just because I want to make this little corner of the world a better place, and I want to do it as a gift to the world. And there are times when I'm like, Susan has to get paid. So ask yourself that. If you're more advanced with money, I feel like there is always more work to be done. As we up level, we are met with new money blocks, and we might want to process through that. Our coach, Jennifer, talks about preparing your life for making money and for receiving it. And to me, this means having good systems in place to track and manage money. And that, my friends, takes time and research and learning and action steps. And it also means having a clear plan for how much you want to bring in, why you want to bring it in, and where that money is going to go. I love this so much. To have that clarity and to have those systems in place that support it, then you start talking about real financial peace and freedom, which is such a gift to one's life. Laura suggested something earlier that I think is a great what do we make of it, which is, and I actually am so inspired by the money mirror. In the back of this book, Laura, there is a great little guide for how to create money groups where you can get together with people that you trust. Maybe that's one other person, maybe it's a small group.
Yes.
And have candid conversations about these topics and financial well-being and health. So I think that's a wonderful, what do we make of it?
Yes.
A small conversation group that supports each other as you gain financial confidence and health and literacy. Any other what do we make of it before I land this plane?
Weird moments before landing, buckle up. That's my favorite one, is finding a safe place for you to talk and celebrate your wins and celebrate your progress. So you don't have to feel so alone in it.
Yeah.
If you are alone in it.
Yeah.
I'm excited by that.
I made up a mantra that Laura and I have started saying to each other before we sit down to do financial work. So we normally do financial work probably about once a week. And I created this mantra, and it's sort of a counterspell to some of those narratives that are less helpful around money. And I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before. So if I've said it before, enjoy it again. If it's the first time, a freshie. But this is it. I easily absorb and process financial learning. I feel peace and pride having my financial, legal, and insurance affairs in beautiful order. And I'll leave you with this question. What do you say to yourself about money?
Oh, that's an amazing thought to leave us with. Oof. What do you say to yourself?
That's my spark, and I'm sticking to it.
I think you got to put in the what do we make of it. You got to write yourself a mantra. Write yourself a beautiful, beautiful mantra like you did, Susan, and repeat it to yourself that you can understand this. You can look at this.
Piece
you
by
can
piece.
get a hold of this.
Yeah. It is a lifelong process.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know. I think it's totally worthwhile. It has brought me a lot of peace, and it hasn't come easily to me. I just want to make that super clear. I didn't know a lot about money as a younger person.
Yeah.
All of this has just been a series of baby steps, baby steps.
It feels like so many of us are on our own to figure it out. And then creatives in particular are in another bracket of
Yeah.
what does it all mean to us and that pursuit of the things we're passionate about. Does that mean that we need to not have a handle on our money?
I have another. What do we make of it?
What is it?
I think that we are going to make some curriculum for our creativity groups so
I
that
love it.
we can begin this investigation or continue it, because a lot
Yeah.
of people are well on their way, but just continue this investigation to make sure that we as creatives are supporting as much financial health, well-being, and literacy as possible for each other.
Oh, I like
Amen.
that, Suze.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right. I think that's it.
What a great spark.
Thanks, Gibbs.
Thank you, Suze.
This episode of The Spark File was made on the lands of the Lenape people. As always, we hope that this put another bunch of sparks in your file. Hey, listen, if there's a spark you'd like us to explore, or if you'd like to learn more about how to coach with us to bring your creative ideas to life, email us at thesparkfile@gmail.com or submit it through our website, thesparkfile.com.
We will even happily take your feedback, but you know the price of admission. First, you have to share a creative risk that you've taken recently.
You can follow us on social at The Spark File, and be sure to subscribe, rate, and 5-star review this podcast. It really, really, really helps other listeners to find us. Also, if you like this podcast, we hope you'll just straight up share it with people that you love. And if you didn't like it, isn't it just the best $0 you never spent? You really got what you paid for there, kid.
Oh, gosh. If something lights you up and gets your creative sparks flying, we are writing you a forever permission slip to make that thing. For goodness sakes, make that thing that's been knocking at your door. It's your turn to take that spark and fan it into a flame.
You know, you got to take it
and make it.
Money, 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 money.
Woo!
Make that money. Ooh, pitchy. You pitchy, dog.
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my spark file. Could be something that I want to make or how I want to be. I pump it in my spark file. I jump into my spark file. Let's open up the spark file.
Hi, friends. Susan Blackwell from the Spark File here to let you know that the doors are open for the Spark File Illume, a 9-month group creativity coaching mastermind that invites you to be the chief creative officer and chief marketing officer of your creativity. But what does that mean? That means in 9 months in Illume, you will clarify and advance your big creative goals and learn how to effectively share your work with the world. Now, if you're listening to this and you're an experienced creative or an accomplished professional who seeks a space where it is safe to attempt something you've never tried before, or complete a big creative project, or take your work to the next level and acquire the skills needed to share your creative work with the world, Illume might be right for you. We are calling in emotionally intelligent, high-functioning creatives who are ready to level up. You can find out more by going to thesparkfile.com/Illume, but do it now to find out if Illume is right for you and to save with early bird discounts. That's thesparkfile.com/Illume. Take a leap, take a risk. Go to thesparkfile.com/Illume and join us for Illume.